Okay, so different kinds of angles. We had acute, which is less than 90. Then when you're right at 90, that's a right angle. That's a Mrs. Adrian angle. And then obtuse, no, rough crowd, Mrs. Adrian angle. Yeah, okay, I got a little smirk. Thank you. All right, obtuse is more than 90. Well, I mean, I could be acute too. That's fine too. Okay. And then a straight angle is 180 degrees. Okay. Yep, so straight is just like a line, but it's actually a straight angle. So kind of silly, but it's 180. All right. All right, we're going to talk about something called a linear. Ooh, I love that word, linear pair. What does linear have the word in there? What is that? Line. Okay. So these pair means what? Two. So there's two angles that come together to form a linear pair would have to form a what? A line. So they have to have, yep, so two angles, literally, two angles that form a line. That's linear pair. Two angles that form a line.
Would that mean that they would have to equal 180?
They would have to equal 180 degrees, yep. A 90 and 90 would work. 30 and a what? 150. I thought you said 30 and 50. I was like, wait.
179 and 1.
Yes, true. All right. So that's a linear pair that form a line. Okay. So this one, ooh, my favorite, literally my favorite, vertical angles. Okay.
What is the one where you have like
Different types of triangles, and we'll get into that, but we're not doing triangles today. That's coming up later.
Are we going to do area with this stuff too?
Scalene, yeah, and isosceles. We'll get into those triangles, don't worry. We're just talking about angles today. Okay, vertical angles are my favorite angles. Okay, you ready? It says angles that share a vertex and are opposite of each other. So in order to understand that, a vertex is where? Like the point where they meet, right? Like the little point. Okay, so we know what a vertex is. So a really fun thing about vertical angles, this is why I love them so much, is that vertical angles, and this comes in handy very often, are congruent. Super important. That postulate, you'll be using that. Postulate is just what we know to be true. In math, it's like a math rule. It's called a postulate. Sometimes they're called theorems based on the information they have. So postulates and theorems are different, but very similar. So vertical angles are congruent. Love it, love it, love it. I'm gonna draw some vertical angles for you so that you can understand what the words mean. Because I'm a visual learner, so seeing a picture is gonna make a lot more sense to me than if. So they have to share this vertex. So here's an angle. Okay. And here's an angle. So these two angles here, I'm actually going to label them 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll label them all. So some vertical angles that would be congruent here. One would be a vertical angle to which one? 3. Yep. So angle 1 would be congruent to angle 3. Now that sign means congruent. I get into that later. I think I take, maybe I'll just take those notes right now. That sign means congruent. We'll take that right after. Okay. Angle 2, where's that vertical angle? Angle 4. Yep. And so angle 2 is also congruent to angle 4. So if you know one of these angles, you're actually going to be able to find out all of the angles, which is really cool. Because if I know 1, then I know 3, right? But if I know 1, bloop, if I would have drawn this nicely, that would form a what? A straight line. So if I know 1, then I can just subtract it from 180 to find 2. So this is why I love it so much, because there's so many things that just interlock and connect, and I just love it. All right, so we were going to define congruent. So let's define congruent. Congruent means that they're exactly the same. So the same size. Okay, and remember that's represented by that little squiggle with an equal sign underneath it. Squiggle equal. So those are vertical angles, my favorite. Okay, now we know what congruent means. Love it. Okay, now we're gonna have to talk about adjacent angles. Goals. Adjacent angles. Okay, so remember vertical, we're like across from each other. Adjacent angles, what do you think? Go ahead.
One would be here, one would be here.
Yes. So angles that share a side and a vertex. Okay. Someone said once, one of my students said, so they share a fence. They're neighbors that share a fence. That's a really good way of thinking about it. Okay. So that fence is that side that they share. So if I was drawing that same thing again, okay, and I label them the same thing, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Adjacent angles. So if I had angle 1 would be adjacent to angle what? 2. Or angle 1 would be also adjacent to angle 4. Okay, I'm not going to put congruent 2 because they're not congruent. 1 and 2 are not the same. 2 would be with what? 1 and 3. You can pick either one. 3 would be with 2 and 4. Okay. Super fun, right? Like, because you can see it. It's visual. Makes sense. They share. So like 2 and 3 share this fence right here. That's why they're adjacent, right next to each other. Bloop. Me too. Okay. I don't know if you want to put right next to each other, but you. Okay. Now we need to talk about like some housekeeping stuff. So when we're doing geometry, we want to be able to make sure that we're doing it in proper way of labeling things. So when labeling an angle, oof, let's go. When labeling an angle, what you need to remember is that order matters. Okay. So let's just say I have this angle right here. So angles, and we're going to put some points on here. Points are represented by capital letters. So I'm going to say A, B, C. Okay. So if I wanted to label this angle, I need to show that it's an angle by an angle sign. That's the first thing. Okay. And angles are represented by 3 letters, except there's an exception, but let's just do that first. They're represented by 3 letters. So I can say angle ABC for this angle. Order matters. This B, that vertex, has to be in the middle. What's another way that I could label this angle? CBA. Yep. So B has to be in the center. So again, let's write that down. the vertex has to be in the middle. Okay. And just like I said, you need 3 letters unless, here's the exception to the rule, the angle stands alone. So this angle is the only angle written on here, right? I don't have one right next to it, like I don't have my vertical angles drawn, okay? So it's just alone. So this one could technically just be called angle B. So all 3 of these would be correct answers to label that angle, okay? The reason you need 3 letters is because if this was a vertical angle and you had more points over here, then if you said angle B, I don't know if you're talking about this one, this one, this one, or this one. Like there's 4 different angles that it could be. If it stands alone, then I know the only angle for angle B is right here. Okay? And so then also remember, you need the angle sign. If you didn't write the angle sign, oh, thank you. If you didn't write the angle sign and it was just the letter B, what would that represent? A point. Yep. So you're telling me just point B. Well, that point B is not going to have a angle measurement. It's not going to be 90 degrees. It's not going to be 45 degrees. It's not going to, that's not just make sense. It's a point. Okay. Couple more things to go over quick. Supplementary. You've had this word before. Angles. Excuse me. Thank you. All right, supplementary angles. Does anyone remember what that means? Okay. 2 angles that add to 180 degrees. So if you're supplementary, it's 2 angles that would add to 180 degrees. So thinking back at that linear pair definition, linear pairs would always be supplementary, right? Makes sense. Okay, but supplementary angles don't have to be next to each other. Okay, it could be a 90, it could be a 90 over here. They weren't next to each other, but they're supplementary. Yep, they don't have to be right next to each other. Where linear pairs have to form that line together. Okay, complementary angles. They're so nice, they're so complimentary. Rough crowd around here. All right. They don't just say nice things about each other. What do you think they're going to add to? Oh, almost. 90. 90, yep. Because it's always right to give out compliments.
Oh, good. You're the.
So, yeah. So they're going to add to 90. Okay, so like a 45 and a 45, a 30 and a 60, a 1 and a 49. Okay, because it's the right thing to do to give out compliments, is how I remember it. Okay, so those are your notes for today. So then we're going to take a look at your assignment. So write that at the top or write it on a piece of paper. I don't know if there's enough room to write everything on this paper, but you can certainly try. You got to go back and look at your notes. So adjacent means, remember, sharing that fence, sharing that side, and that vertex. Are 3 and 4 sharing a fence? No, but they do share a vertex. So no, they're not adjacent. So no. And why? Because they don't share what? A side. They do not share a side. Remember the requirement, you have to share a side and a vertex. So I hope you're writing this answer down. It's a freebie. Okay, number 2, are 3 and 4 adjacent? Do they share a side?
Yes.
Do they share a vertex?
Yes.
So yes. Boom, boom. Good job, number 2.
You didn't explain, Mrs. Adrian.
I don't need to explain, right? Oh, I guess maybe I could.
You have to though.
I wouldn't explain on a yes. I'm gonna explain on a no. Does that make sense? Number 3 and 4. Are they sharing a side?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they sharing a vertex?
No.
No. So no, they do not share a vertex. Yep. Love it. Okay. Okay, number 4, it says, does every angle have a complement? Well, what does complement mean? Complementary was what? It's the right thing to do, so it forms a what? 90 degrees, so it adds up to 90. Would every angle have another angle to make it up to 90 degrees? Okay, you're shaking your head no. Why?
I don't know.
Because 90, right, is already at 90, so you don't need to add anything to get to complementary. So can a 90-degree angle, a right angle, have a complement?
No.
No. So the answer is no. And why? What did we just say?
Not all angles are below 90 degrees.
Not all angles are below 90 degrees. Yep.
I thought I was talking about from the ones we just did, and I was confused because they didn't have any numbers. I mean, they did, but
Right.
not actual.
Okay. Right, because if it's anything over 90, you can't add something to it to make it 90. That wouldn't work. All right. Name a pair of vertical angles and a pair of adjacent angles in each figure, and then find the measure of angle 1. Okay, so let's start with our vertical angles. This is again where you probably like paper, but it's fine. We'll try, I'll just put V for vertical. Okay. Remember, we need 3 letters in order to make this happen. So why don't we just start with an angle? I'm going to say, which angle do you want to do? I don't care. You want to do angle 1? Now, this I don't think I put in your notes. So angle 1 is called MRN, okay? But because there's a number in there representing that angle, you can just call that angle 1. Okay? So angle MRN or angle NRM and angle 1 all represent that same angle. So I'm going to put angle 1. That's fine. And what's vertical to angle 1? This angle here, right? But I can't put 80 degrees because that's telling me the measurement. So what's this letter? QRP. So angle, remember you need the angle sign, QRP. Now, if I put PRQ, would that be right? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do the vertical angles to the 1, and we're going to do the adjacent angles also to angle 1. So we're going to put an A for adjacent, because I don't want to spell the whole thing out, because I'm like you and lazy. Everyone's a little lazy, right? Angle 1. I need an angle that's adjacent to angle 1. How many options are there? How many angles are adjacent to this angle right here? 2 of them, right? I could pick this guy, or I could pick this guy. So I don't care which one we do. Which one should we do?
MRQ.
MRQ?
Yeah.
Sure. Angle MRQ. Technically, we could have even picked MRB
What is this?
if we wanted to. Tomorrow. We'll get most of it done right now. Now we have to find the measure of angle 1. How do you know it's 80? Because they're opposite, they're vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. So angle 1 is 80 degrees, and I'm just going to put it in there. Now, if I was labeling it, I would say measure of angle 1. So I put M, angle 1 equals 80. Because a measurement can equal a number. Now, if you put the angle sign and not have the little m, then you have to put the congruent sign. Because you're saying that that angle is congruent to another angle. They're the same size. We're not talking about their measurement. Okay, number 6. We're going to do it to angle 1 again. So vertical. We'll do angle 1 and angle what? Oh, sorry. Thank you. So if I have angle 1 here, what's the vertical angle to angle 1?
JKH. Is that?
Vertical has to be
wait.
opposite.
Wait a minute, I thought the top one was.
So D,
K.
K, H has to be that congruent one, remember? So DKH. Good. Adjacent, remember they have to share a fence to angle 1. And angle what? Remember there's 2 options here.
JKH.
There's more than 2 options. JKH, that would work. JKH. Because they're sharing that vertex and they're sharing that side. Angle 1. How many degrees? 90. How'd you get 90? Because the vertical angle on the other side is right. Yep. Represented by that little square box, which means a right angle. So good job.
Kind of looked at it and
And made sense to you. Okay, number 7. So we're going to do vertical with angle 1 and angle. Okay, remember vertical angles have to be congruent, has to be opposite. BDC, love it. Remember that D has to be in the middle because that's that vertex. That's a vertical angle. Now we're going to talk about that adjacent angle. Tried to spell the word, sorry. Adjacent to angle 1. So angle 1's right here. Who's his neighbor that shares a fence with him? VDY would work, or BDT would work. Yep. So I'm going to say BDT just because I feel like being a rebel. And what's the measurement on angle 1? 40, because that vertical angles are congruent. So 40. Love it. Degrees. Whew. Don't forget your degree sign. Oh man, now they got really easy on you. It says find the measure of the supplement. What does supplement mean? Adds to what? 180. So what number plus 14 gives you 180?
164.
How did you get 164? What'd you do?
180 minus 40.
180 minus 14. Now, if you just answer 164 without that degree symbol, is that correct?
No.
No, you need the degree symbol. Okay, I'm not going to help you with 9, 10, 11, 12. I'll give you like just a minute to do it. You can get them done. Make sure that was 166. Okay, let's do 13. All right, let's do it. Let's use what we know. It says find the measure of each numbered angle. So I need angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, use what you know. Well, 28 is right here. What's its vertical angle? Which one?
2.
Angle 2. So we're going to say measure of angle 2. So we're going to say M angle 2 equals how many degrees? 28 degrees. Okay, still need the measure of angle 1. Still need the measure of angle 3 and the measure of angle 4. I should have just put 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the beginning, but I didn't. Oh well. Okay, so I know this is 28, and I do like to label it in there too, because then I can see. Huh? What else do they give me as information? There is a right angle. That right angle is which 2 angles together? 3 and 2. But I know number 2. So how are you going to find 3? Yeah, 90 minus 28, which is what? 62? Okay, so measure of angle 3, 62 degrees. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, now what? We got 1 and 4 left. What should we work on next? 1 or 4?
Wait,
Straight.
1, yeah, look at this straight line right here. Love it. How many degrees in a straight line? 180, and how many do we have here? 28. What's 180 minus 28? 1 what? 152. So we got that, 152.
It's 4, 4 is 62 plus the other 20. 4 is 90.
And how'd you get 90?
Because it's a right angle.
You don't know that it's a right angle,
But it's congruent to the right.
but look, when I cover this up, what's this? A straight line, and these two add up to 90. So is 4 a right angle? Yeah, okay, because the 90 plus the 90 is going to get you that 180. Okay, but you can't assume that until you know it from a different fact. Does that make sense? So number 4 is 90 degrees. Look at that. You guys are so smart.
I think it would have been smart to put this on a piece of paper.
Yeah, well. I'm going to let you do 14 on your own. Let's go to 15. No. That's why I'm skipping it, because you can do it. Let's go to 15. I'm going to put measure of angle 1, measure of angle 2, measure of angle 3, measure of angle 4. Oh, and there's 5 too. Measure of angle 5. Love it. You need to find all of them. Look at what they give you. Okay? They gave me a 61. I'm guessing I'm going to have to use that somewhere. What else did they give me?
Isn't that like a right angle?
This right angle, yeah. So if this is a right angle, that 61 and 1 together have to form how many degrees?
90.
90. So it's 90 minus 61? How much? 29? I think so. 29 looks good, yeah. So measure of angle 1 is 29 degrees. Love it. Okay, now what?
3 is congruent.
3 is congruent to 61? Love it. Okay, I'm okay with that because they're what? They're opposite, they're vertical angles. So we'll say that, we know that. Okay, Jojo, what were you saying before that? 4 and 3 together make 90, so what's 4 gonna have to be? 29. Love it, so angle 4 is 29 degrees. Now what? You do have a straight line right here, right?
Right.
61 and angle 2 together make a straight line, so what's 180 minus the 61? 119. Love it. All we have left is angle 5. How are we going to find angle 5?
1 minus 90. No, 90 minus
90 minus 1?
angle 1.
Can we assume that? I can see where you see the 90 minus 29, but are we for sure that this is a right angle here?
I thought it was a Q.
So what I would do is I would just cover up this side. What would all of those together make?
I was just gonna ask.
180.
A 180. So let's take 180 minus the 61 minus the 29 minus the 29, and what is it? Is it 61 again? Okay, so was it a 90-degree angle? Yeah, but we don't want to assume that unless we see that right angle sign. Okay? But yes. Woohoo! So you have to do 14 on your own. Let's look at 16, what it says. Route 43 is perpendicular. Oh, it's perpendicular. It forms what?
Straight line.
A right angle. Okay, Route 43, so this one, is perpendicular to Devon Avenue. Okay, so we know this is a right angle here. We also know it's a right angle here. Okay, and there on the bottoms too. Find the measure of an acute angle formed by Route 43 and Northwest Highway. So this one. Okay. But we know this is 40. What's this one then? 50. 50 degrees. What kind of angles do perpendicular lines form? We answered that right away. 90-degree angles, right?
I forgot what perpendicular was.
Perpendicular means they form a 90-degree angle. What special angles do you see? It says, when I put these two together, they form a 90, so what's that called? A right, but if together, if there's two of them that form a 90, it's the right thing to do, so they're what? Complementary. That's that special word, complementary angles. All right, backside. Because it's 1 through 30, and we're skipping 27 and then 33 through 37. Okay. Oh, we're okay. We're almost done. 22. Are 1 and 7 adjacent? Angle 1's way over here. Angle 7's way over here. Adjacent. What does adjacent mean? Side and a vertex. Do they share a side and a vertex? No. No side and no vertex. I'm gonna just put, I'm gonna really not use many words. No side, no vertex. No. Okay. Are 2 and 3 vertical?
No.
No. What's your reasoning? What are 2 and 3?
Adjacent.
They're adjacent. I'm gonna put they're adjacent. They share that fence and they share that vertex. Neighbors. Okay. Name a pair, so just one pair, don't go wild, of adjacent angles. 2 and 3, sure. Angle 2 and angle 3. Love it. I just use my little and symbol.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah.
I thought it was some sort of math.
No, that's like just a normal and
I've
symbol.
been writing it down the whole time.
Sorry.
thinking it was important.
No, it's not important. It's just an and sign. You could put a, we could put like a little plus sign. I don't care.
An 8 cut in half.
Sorry. No, that's just my and symbol. It's like, I don't know. That's how I was taught to make and. I don't know. Yeah. Yep. That would work too. Okay. Or and. Yeah. A-N-D. That's fine. All right. We're off track.
That's what I do.
Love it. Name a pair of vertical angles. A pair, just one. 2 and 4. Love it.
I wrote number 30 or 23.
Angle 2, we'll try the other and symbol with the little, but then it's like connected here, isn't it? I don't know how to do it. 2 and angle
I've never seen them.
4.
You've never seen that? I always do it.
They go like up
You don't.
side.
Is that how, okay.
I thought it was just
No, I
a
don't
little
usually do that one, so.
That's the only one.
Number 26, all right, 26. It says, suppose measure of angle 1 is the same as the measure of angle 6. So we're assuming that these two are congruent, they're equal, okay? Are 1 and 5 supplementary?
Yes.
And why?
They equal 180 degrees.
How do you know that?
Because it's a straight line.
Because 6 and 5 make a straight line, right? And if 6 is the same as 1, would 1 and 5 make a supplementary angle? So yes. Now, I'm not going to make you explain that out loud because we just talked about it. We literally just talked about it.
That'd be a lot to rate.
That would be a lot to rate. And we're skipping 27.
I was thinking 28.
No, 28. This is going to be so fun. LBD. Remember, order matters. So we're looking for L all the way to B down to D. Okay, so this angle here.
You sounded like Grover.
Okay, and TBL. T over to B over to L. What are they? Yep, they share a side, they share a vertex. They're what?
Adjacent.
Adjacent. Nice. Love it. Okay. Angle RBT. R. Now I got to. I don't know if you can see colors right now on this screen. Because my RBT is vertical to what?
LB.
LBK. Yep, love it. Because remember, they have to be the same. So it already has the angle sign, so I can just do the 3 letters, LBK. Measure of angle KBL. So I'm looking for KBL, the whole big thing here. 140 because it's that vertical angle that we just talked about. 140, and it has the degree symbol, but I'm still gonna write it. Oh, yep. Now DBK. So I'm looking for D, up to B, over to K. So this guy right here.
Oh, you said 1 through 30.
Well, we're doing 31. I should have slipped through 31. Well, this one's 64. How do you know that's 64? Do you know that for sure?
No, it's not.
No, but you just told me that this big one was 140.
Oh, so you have to subtract that.
You told me this whole shebang was 140. This is 64. What's left? Thank you. I should make this to 31. I don't know why I didn't do that. Okay. Not going to make you do 32. Let's look at 33. A truss is a part of a roof of a house. Okay, everyone has these on their house. Okay, unless you have a flat roof, which is not important, not good around here. Don't have a flat roof from.
Don't you ever shovel it off?
Yeah, and it's a lot of work. Don't try not to have that. Okay, not here. Other places it's fine. What is the measure of angle 1? So I want to know this one right here. Well, this is a 30. This is a 60. This is a 60. What do you think that's going to be?
The only one that really makes sense.
Now, how do you know?
Because 60,
All of these together form a what?
180.
A 180. So if that's 60 and 60, that's 120 plus another 30. Okay, so then the only one that would make sense in there is 30.
I just did it like 60 and 30 is 90, and then 60's on the other side.
Yes, that would work too. So this is a 90 because 60 and 30 is 90. Well, then this has to be 90. Okay. Ooh, then some review. That should be fun. Love review. I'm going to let you just tackle that word problem all by yourself. Isn't that fun? Okay. Now remember, solving systems of equations. Remember, you can use substitution or you can use elimination. This is set up really nice for substitution. Y is 4x. So wherever I see a y in this one, I'm going to put in a 4x. Remember, I colored. Swap the yellows for each other and solve. This is set up really nice for substitution. Wherever you see a y, you're going to put in an x minus 3. This is set up really nice for substitution. Wherever you see an x, you're going to put a 5y in. You have to do those on your own. 34, 35, 36, 37.
You don't have to do that much.
Nope, you don't have to do very much. We did most of it together.